started, and let's see how this does go on here. Ryan's going to be banned out first. Seemed to be very common, especially down in challengers. Don't like to see that Rise was even a common ban in the LCK finals, so it's just a Korea thing nowadays.
Speaking to the Fnatic players are here in solidarity for, of course, some EU talent on the side of bbq, Ignar, and Trick, known for their stints in the EU LCS, the bbq fandom. Coming through from those two, want to draw your attention to the top left, guys. If you didn't watch the first series tonight, you might have missed. We're on patch 817 finally. We're away from 815, so 817. Nunu and Willump is disabled, but otherwise 817 patch notes, and the new meta in full effect is going to be a blue side Urgot ban coming through from DAMWON Game.
We already saw what Aatrox can do for the first time around in our first series. Got a couple of bbq fans in here. It says, I think that is the older sister of Ignar.
There we go.
If I read that sign correctly, the Korean commentators are also freaking out, so it's kind of cool. We got family down here today to support both sides.
I'm freaking out about some of the bans we're seeing on 817. The Yasuo ban comes in against Showmaker. It's actually 3 bans against Showmaker, who finds so much respect among players. We're going to look on the side of bbq now. It's a Tahm Kench first pick on 817. Remember, those Devour nerfs are there. People are saying it can be a good matchup situationally, but first pick, first ban status is higher than you might expect. And first time of asking bbq's bot lane. Remember, it is Ares over Ghost. I'm going to run the Lovers bot lane, so that's just the bot lane locked in for bbq.
Like to see it. Looks like we might be getting that Kai'Sa and Tahm Kench lane. Kai'Sa just so popular nowadays, and well, Nuclear is pretty good at it, at least in Challenger, sitting at 11-1 on the pick.
Joining us late, DAMWON Gaming's bot lane just plays to not lose. They played a scale, so it's 11-1 Kai'Sa for Nuclear. He's played it basically every time he could. Showmaker's flashing the Katarina. This is his pocket counter pick to the Zoe. I think he played once over in the Challenger series. Hopefully we'll see it later in the draft. It won't be locked in now. I saw you getting very excited about it. It's going to be a counter pick, you'd have to think, as Trick Flash is a trademark champion of his own here via Tempt.
Well, I wish this was the world we lived in and these picks could actually get picked, but how about a Syndra for Tempt? Definitely one of his older picks that he used to play a lot, and it's pretty good blind. I like the idea.
And how much respect is this to Showmaker? They're going to blind mid lane after already banning 3 mid laners, and they're going to ban some more mid laners, you'd have to think here. They're trying to remove as much power from the solo lanes. Really, our eyes are going to be trained on Showmaker and Naguri at every moment. These are the big carries of DAMWON Gaming's 13-1 regular season performance. They haven't played since they ended up 13-1 because they did not have to play in the Challengers finals. That's how the system works now. You win the regular season, you're straight into this tournament. So they've been hiding strategies for a long time. Another mid lane ban as LeBlanc is taken out. I wonder what Showmaker's going to fall back on. If you look at most played, he can take the bad side of the Syndra matchup on the Zoe. We've seen some Syndras do very, very well in that matchup. Orianna's still available. There's other matchups, but will he find something to smash the Syndra? Would he dare to go towards the Kassadin that's seeing a lot of attention in solo rank? It's definitely a painful matchup early, but the Kassadin's got a couple of direct and indirect buffs over recent patches.
Yeah, the Kassadin, I think it was 817, where it's just the cooldown on his ultimate. It pushed him to near permaban status on the Korean solo queue ladder. It's really annoying to deal with, and kind of brings back ideas of Kassadin of old.
But it is risky now, because now we see that they've chosen a very strong 2v2. The mid-jungle skirmishing always so powerful. And Syndra Olaf, it'd be pretty bold to take a Kassadin into this duo. Let's get those solo laners. Could, of course, be the Gragas flex to top side, but probably going to be solo laners here. This is a pick that we saw in the LCK final, and it will be the Victor that certainly can wave clear away in a good scenario, but can also just be free food for a Syndra in a bad scenario. Doesn't necessarily give you too much confidence about early skirmishing between the Victor and the Gragas, and waiting for the blind top lane pick. The Jace banned already. See what the decision is here from Naguri.
We already saw Cho'Gath blind pick, but that was after Ornn was banned, so it looks like Naguri is going to go towards the Ornn and just pick that one up. And now what is Crazy going to do? He's a guy that we have criticized his, okay, this is just Ignar trolling a little bit, but we've criticized his top lane Camille from time to time. Definitely a little bit inconsistent. We'll see if he worked on that during the break.
Well, he looks at the enemy team and says, man, some of these team fights are going to be hard in the late game. The Cho'Gath is the winning tank matchup into the Ornn, and it will be selected, so gives them some pretty strong team fighting as well. Good pick from Syndra and Rakan and Cho'Gath. Good lanes for the Olaf to jungle around early. I'm a bit surprised with DAMWON because they pivoted a bit on what their challenger identity is. You look at this comp and you say, man, late game team fights, setting up the Kai'Sa with so many abilities to use hard CC and apply those plasmas for nuclear to try to explode, but this is not losing the minimum, having some solo lanes that can style. This is very much a scaling draft looking to take over the game late. Ken's just straight up outplay, and Punch might be creative around his pathing. But I do think that some of these lanes for the Olaf means that potentially Trick could be the one to take over the game in the first 20 minutes.
It would be long awaited from the side of bbq fans. As we mentioned before, they didn't have much success in LCK, as is obvious. Didn't get a chance to actually play Olaf at all. I suppose the meta at that time didn't lend itself to too much of that Olaf, but we know he can play it from times past, and it's back in the meta. I can't wait to see if he carries tonight here with Ignar alongside him.
That's what our spring analyst had on, though. 3 winning lanes and an Olaf. If Trick can't get it done this game, that would be a significant issue for bbq. So I want to see them take advantage of the priority in their lanes and play aggressively. This is the sort of game where you should make it a no-win zone from about 25 minutes. You want to put DAMWON into the dirt as early as possible.
That is definitely the idea, guys. You have seen the pick ban, and it looks like we're just about ready to jump into game number 1. Very excited to see what happens here between DAMWON Gaming and bbq Olivers. Let's jump into it now.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Hey, there we go.
It was a little bit quick, but you know, they got it out there. It happens, so that's definitely an upgrade compared to Battle Comics.
They didn't have to get sassed by our Korean play-by-play caster, so already they're leveling up over Battle Comics. But can they level up over Battle Comics? Fairly straightforward. 2-0 victory. Not going to do it around the early game, barring some significant outplays. Getting a chance to look at the keystones here. Just going to be summon Airy for lane, one of the runes that's been nerfed since the last time that we saw it used. Just about the lane priority. Another Predator Gragas. We were still seeing Electric Gragas. Okay, here we go. Nuclear, hello.
Nuclear, you know, you're on the stage. This does matter. Okay, the Devourer comes in. Forgot he wasn't in solo queue. Definitely not lag or anything like that. Just unfortunate he wasn't looking.
He didn't have his eyes on. Not quite the level 1 gank we saw by the Camille in game 1 of the day. Now, can teleport to lane or walk very late. I imagine it's going to have to be the teleport, but it does suck to basically have no second summoner in lane. That's the reality here. And remember that Hoyt also had to skill W at level 1, and this was already a winning priority lane for Ignar and Ares. And speaking of winning priority...
Well, we do have the Devourer, but man, Nuclear, put your brain in, man. I don't know what's going on. Not the best start here for good old Kai'Sa. We'll see if he does fix that. Imagine if Ignar hit the knock-up too. Could have done that extra damage to get the kill onto Nuclear.
I like to think the Reckless being in the audience is something Nuclear noted, and it got back to flashbacks of some unfortunate situations last year. Still, plenty of time to just level up. No summoners used, just the big thing there in terms of combat summoners, but bbq are going to push. And we already mentioned a lot of push and Olaf to invade. Let's see where Trick finally decides to go. That is, of course, going to be a bit delayed. Every time we see an Olaf, we remember he wants his talisman and his boots usually before he starts fighting, so he has an effective keystone. Same true of Punch, but going to be the first scuttle of the game going to Trick.
You're mentioning how these solo lanes for the side of DAMWON Gaming are definitely been the talk of the town. You know, Showmaker coming on in as well as Nuguri, and I wanted to point out that both of them are actually very, very young. Showmaker born in the year 2000, July 22nd, and Nuguri in 1999, July 17th. So all this new young talent that's coming in, you'll note, Chovy, one of the youngest guys coming in, just 17 years old. got a couple of other very young new talents here that could potentially make it into LCK next season.
And I have it under pretty good authority that both these talents were being pursued by LCK teams for summer, but contracts and just the realities of trying to make a mid-season move didn't make it happen. Is his Trick?
Well, the Predator and the stun might just be enough. One more axe, but ooh, Trick is gonna miss. He does use the heal anyway, so probably would have gotten away, but a little bit unfortunate that he couldn't follow up, but he gets both summoners away from Showmaker.
And that means the Tempt will be feeling good come level 6, which is coming very short. We're gonna have a bit of a pause here, guys. Unsure on this one. Didn't look like visual lag this time.
Probably just like an audio issue or a mouse issue, something like that. Looks like Ares immediately took his headset off, so would have to imagine that it's something that happened in the bottom lane that we weren't even looking at. But he's working on it now, seeing he's alt-tabbing, curious about the issue.
bbq Oliver is feeling really good about the position they find themselves in. The draft is kind to them. The early game is opening up, and Syndra might be able to return for a kill. It is someone to heal on the Syndra for a bit of dueling. It seems like actually a settings issue, which we don't usually hear, so imagine this is one that needs a ruling, but might come in quickly.
Ares is saying that his mouse is at a different...
maybe a DPI or something like that? So it seems
some
like
setting on his mouse, which would just be the speed, normally.
A little bit awkward, but hopefully we can get that resolved very quickly. Yeah, it does seem to be DPI related, and that we all know that that can create a lot of problems.
Ares, you know, not a lot of experience. I suppose he forgot to do this in the whirlwind of getting on stage.
In Korea, this issue actually crops up for regular people more often because there is the PC bang culture, and you show up at the PC bang or the LAN cafe, and you have to redo your settings every time compared to just playing at home at all moments. Ares hasn't played too many games in the SPO TV arena or in competitive play, regardless, so bit of an awkward one. Definitely one you don't want to have to explain to your friends and coworkers, but hopefully we get it done soon.
Also that he realized it about 6 minutes into game one. He's like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel right. You would think that, you know, practice games, the hour break we had before the games, and all that extra time could have lent him to fixing that issue.
I can hear your finger wagging. You're not actually doing it, but you're basically telling him, oh, come on now.
Yeah, definitely wagging something at
It's
Ares.
true.
So.
Not waggling, that was a Nintendo Wii situation.
Yeah, not jingling either.
No,
Papa
that's a
Smithy trying to
Gragas
make
belly
up,
situation.
Yeah, trying to make up words.
Look,
Does Papa
Jingle,
has the leash
Jingle
to
All
just
the Way is a
make up
movie
words
name.
now?
What's wrong with jingling?
Papa's been around for so long.
Is that your new pet for me name, Poppy Smithy?
You'll always be my big Poppy.
I'll take it.
Although you never played Poppy with me. It's kind of a weird coincidence.
Too busy with my Rumble support, I guess.
It'll probably happen eventually. Papa plays pretty much everything. Likes to troll me in solo queue by playing, you know, first time jungle Poppy, stuff like that.
I think Trick actually knows that Punch is here. Notice he's a level up as well, but nothing's going to come of it. Not really sure what Punch's agenda is going to be this game. To me, it's going to be a lot of containment to allow the scaling advantage to come out on the side of DAMWON. Look at Ignar being a bro, just tanking up the minion wave so that Syndra can continue extending her lead.
I like to think that he's just angry at Ares for the issue and is like, nah, I'm just going to leave you in your own lane. I'm supporting Tempt now.
The mechanic he utilized there or took advantage of will be very, very obvious to most, but there'll be some people that don't know. He wants the minions to all aggro onto him, and then as the minions reach the lane, wants them to aggro onto the first minion to ensure that it does freeze and slow push towards the side of Syndra. Tempt can keep it there till level 6, then the moment you walk up for a CS, you get hit by the Q, and you're done. So that's the mechanic that Ignar was trying to take advantage of. He goes back bot, no harm, no foul, as we're going to see a 2v2 up top.
Crazy is really low. Can they make this happen, though? The perfect flash body slam. One more will do it. Nicely done by Punch. That's going to be first blood secured up in the top lane.
And that flips the script in a big way. Remember, this is supposed to be bbq's paddock to play around. Instead, really nice timing from Punch. They get the first blood, and that's the first thing unraveling from the side of bbq Olivers.
Good old Punch. Used to be on Kung Du Monster. Now coming in here and saying, I'm going to carry for my new team, DWG Gaming.
So the Predator is popped. Crazy tries to kite downwards, but Punch is not about showing any animations. That was a very assertive flash. He probably thought the Trick was going to escort him out, but instead, Crazy goes down. Nice execution from Punch. As it's going to be Trick now, though.
Showmaker, he doesn't have any summoners here. Trying to get the stun, but no, it's not going to be enough. Tempt able to sidestep that one and pick up a big kill onto the Syndra.
And it's something easy to return to because Tempt didn't even use his ultimate to get that first kill. So it seems like Showmaker's going to have to play super defensively in his lane. The Victor buff, whereas Hexcore got cheapers on patch 8.18, by the way, guys, not 8.17 that we're on today. So the only Victor buff live is the Gravity Field range that was live on the LCK final as well.
It's kind of interesting, you know, some of these challenger level mids, they might make the mistake of just getting too far up the lane when you have the Olaf. I mean, he just runs down the mid lane. Tempt gets him into a position against the wall where it's either you get stunned or you die to the Olaf.
Yeah, Predator lane ganks. Feels like you're playing against Rammus when we have this Predator meta across most of the junglers. No way to ward for that one. He had a deep lane ward, and yet when it's mid lane in such a short lane that Predator's still going to do its work. It's a nice moment there for bbq. But remember, based on the draft, we're looking for chain ganks like that. We're looking for gold leads for bbq, and we're not seeing them. 7 minutes into the game, it is a small gold lead to DAMWON Gaming. They've even been able to pick up 2 scuttles despite not having priority in their lane. So right now, things still very comfortable for DAMWON.
Showmaker here thinking about baiting Tempt on in. He does have his flash. Will use it here to get away from that one.
And that feels so good for Showmaker because he gets double summoners out of the Syndra. We were talking about the return gank potential with a double summoner lead and ult up with the ult, the flash, and the heal down. Gonna relieve some pressure, baby the Victor closer and closer to that first Hex Core, the E upgrade, and the reliable wave clear that we all know the Victor for. We're waiting for that first Victor victory, though, because at the end of the day, there was 2 games played by UCAL. For KT Rolster, they were both losses.
Punch some really good presence around the lane. This is the second time he showed up to the bottom side. This time it's much better timing as it's pushing into the DAMWON Gaming bottom lane. Nice Devour comes in. This time Punch is not here. He was also nearby in the mid lane just in case they needed him for any kind of counter gank. Now he's working on that Ocean Drake. Another stun here on a Showmaker. He's going to blow his heal. Try to get away from this one. It's going to be just fine.
Punch slowly taking down the Drake. I imagine Trick knows this because he didn't react to the mid lane play. Watching Punch here, he does have the Devour to get him out. Come on, wake up the range. Okay, never mind. Remember, with the Devourer at 26-second cooldown, you really don't want to use it to help out the Gragas, because then you enter lane, and that's a huge amount of time to not have Devourer up.
You get there, you still got to wait 20 seconds. It's a real feels bad moment, so might as well just wait for the body slam. He's going to be just fine. It looks like Trick actually did not know. So they get away with a nice and early Ocean Drake, which is going to feel really good. Make it easier for the bottom lane. Victor can stay around, has better sustain. Just obviously very good for the laning phase.
I'm actually a big fan of the Tahm Kench change. I like windows of power to play around, and Devourer always was a real feels bad man moment, especially after the R was buffed to be a relevant ability. Felt like he really had a lot going on for him, did Tahm Kench. It was first picked in this draft, and that to me is a surprise, but the value of Tahm Kench, as long as Devourer mechanic exists, is always going to be there.
Said it exactly right. You know, the cooldown can be nerfed to oblivion, and people are still going to use it for that just one-time Devour even.
Well, in a world where Stopwatch being blown was a successful gank, it feels so bad in the past when Tahm Kench Devour wasn't even something to get because it was up the moment you looped around. So at least there is now some windows to try to take advantage of Tahm Kench in the laning phase.
Punch looking again. He was a killer up in the top side with this Flash and Predator. He was seen on that one, but is not going to actually get rid of the Poro, which is bbq's.
Yeah, I believe it still grants vision, even through a control ward, and there is some interesting vision toggle things going on in that brush.
The control ward is far enough in the brush that it doesn't spot it, so he doesn't know.
I still don't fully agree with that idea, especially because of curves taking it away, but just League of Legends things.
There you go. Vision is a funny thing, you know.
Well, apparently a 10-stack Cho'Gath can get hidden in 1 pixel of bush, so just League of Legends things does extend to more than the banana-shaped brushes being weird with control wards. You're now walking up, and bbq haven't been too on the ball with their priority draft. Just consider as a simple point, DAMWON stole a Drake against them. When that moment happened, there was actually 4 control wards around the river, and they were all DAMWON wards, despite bbq having great lanes to jungle around. So They've been looking over some of the places they might have found advantages. Still, again, the game is very up in the air, which, based on our champion select analysis, is advantage DAMWON, but not in a game-breaking way by any means.
And Tempt just receiving so much attention in this mid lane. I mean, he's had Olaf come on in, he's had Rakan freeze a wave one time, looked for a gank another time. The Victor is definitely vulnerable. They're trying to make it work.
I actually prefer to think of it that everyone wants to come and be front row to see Showmaker in the flesh. Like, hey, look at you, I hear you're good. And then they just leave the lane. That's the way I like to think about it. Nuguri's had much more of a quiet laning phase. We're going for a top lane game. Here's the Abyssal Voyage.
Abyssal Voyage comes in. It's going to be 4-on-1 in the top side. Once the Gragas gets here, the teleport's going to be committed to. But that's going to be way too late as Ares makes his way on in. Trying to get on top of Hoyt, though. Do they have enough damage? No. He's just going to be able to flash away. One more axe will do it. Can he get it? It's going to be dodged for now. The Syndra trying to get in there. Going to turn on to Showmaker, though, who runs into two people and says, here, take my life. Take me with you. I'd rather trade one back.
Showmaker's map awareness is coming against him here a little bit in this level up into this competitive play at the highest level. Just being caught a little bit too easily. Flash and heal only now available. Flash was up at the time. Trick walks up and actually gets the stun onto Ares.
It flashes away because the teleport's coming in. It's actually Tom Kent. They're going to force out this Feather Storm. Do they have another engage here? The knockup from Nuguri was going to come in, so Ares does get away. Nice little push in the mid lane, though. Meanwhile, a bunch of flashes blown, but a turret is taken here, the first one of the game by bbq.
And DAMWON, despite making the first move, won't get the first turret. They should be able to finish this one off. Low health bars, no ultimate on Ares, so he doesn't actually have any threat. What was lost in our hype for Showmaker is the fact that we're forgetting how good Tempt is doing in Challenger and how good Tempt has been in the past. He has been the star for bbq for a few years now. So he's going to be able to get ahead, and we'll see what the Syndra can do to stick the landing in the mid-game. Picture-in-picture, we're seeing DAMWON Gaming will be getting the turret, and it's getting a replay. Hoyt coming forward, not actually being taken down. Turret gets delayed, and Showmaker at this point is pretty significantly behind his opponent.
We just walked straight into it. You talked about lack of map awareness, but the Rakan did come around the bend and catch him unawares. Perhaps thought he was in a one-on-one situation with Tempt, but now he's 0-2 on Victor. At least he still has his flash and heal. Didn't even bother using it in the last time. Trick here going to use that pressure play that they went for on the top side. Everybody had to back afterwards, so Trick just says, okay, I guess I can start this Rift Herald and be just fine. They already got the one turret. We'll look for more with that objective.
So right now, Nuclear is actually staying out of vision range bot side, looking for an Auron ultimate into being able to combo it with the Killer Instinct to get a kill on Cho'Gath. It's not going to happen, and it is early diagnosed by bbq, so nice top lane awareness by Crazy. Races on for these turrets, as mid lane once again, a lot of damage on Showmaker, but he's got Tom Kent to back him up for now.
You can tell he's not too dismayed from the couple of times he died. He's still going very aggressively onto the Syndra, who's 1-0-1 with Ludens finished up.
And this race is only going to be won by bbq because of the Rift Herald being down. We're going to have some long lanes. bbq has struggled to take advantage of these sort of advantages in the LCK. See if their macro has leveled up in their 5 to 6 weeks in scrims, as it will be an Infernal Drake to DAMWON Gaming, but we're not seeing bbq stop without at least a charge onto the inhibitor turret.
Some confused pings, I would call it, by DWG Gaming, as they're trying to send the Kai'Sa into the bottom lane against the Cho'Gath. It was late. She had already exited the lane. She thought she wanted to go to the Dragon instead. They get the Dragon in the end, but a lot of gold just given over to the side of bbq at the end of the day. Of course, the Infernal Drake is going to be fantastic for Victor Kai'Sa later on, but now you already got that top lane with 2 turrets down.
But what I want to illustrate is you look at the minimap and you say, okay, we've got 2 turrets topside, really long lane. What do we gain from that? Well, when Baron hasn't spawned, the answer is very little, Valdez. You see the sprinkling of red wards around the camps near the blue buff spawn for DWG Gaming. That's not an advantage you can return to because there's just no reason for DWG Gaming to move around that area. Now, later in the game, for Baron Vision, that means something. Now with the Rift Herald down, with Baron yet to spawn, the vision they claim, the inner turret feels good, but returning to this advantage and denying even farm from Nuguri, or setting up farm for Crazy, so pushed in, won't happen. So there's this awkward 5-minute scenario where an Infernal Drake and getting the outer turret bot side might actually mean more than what should be a bigger advantage, taking an inner turret top side.
Definitely feels like that's the situation. Thank you for clarifying all of that.
And you flow on from what does that mean right now as a viewer? It means, well, DAMWON want to scale. There's farm that's easy for DAMWON to get than bbq. So it actually means that extra items will go the way of DAMWON, at least in present. Right now they're searching for 2-3 items. Meanwhile, bbq still looking for any single way to increase the pace of the game.
They got Trick with double buff here, looking to potentially fight up against Punch, but I feel like Punch has just been so bloodthirsty this entire game, just waiting for an opportunity to Predator body slam. They do have that Auron for the long range engage. It's a little bit too long there for Tam, 2 heals for the movement speed to get out of the way of that one.
Kind of bizarre usage, just a fishing trip. It seemed very unlikely to actually find anything else with no objectives up, so. It's not like they were having someone aside. If Nuclear's farming a greedy wave bot side, then you use that Auron ultimate to just create a bit of pandemonium and get that extra farm and get a recall in. Kind of a weird decision by Nuguri, but not the sort of thing that's going to be punished. Crazy finds this grouped minion wave that's been slow pushing for a little while, and he says, well, I hope no one comes. I want to get a nice stack of gold.
Get a lot of gold and deny a bunch of XP. You were talking about that long lane. It can be a little bit dangerous for DAMWON if it gets, you know, up towards where the first turret was. So it slowly pushes. It denies so much gold and XP up here, and Crazy eventually, with his teleport up, can safely take it all back after as much as possible was denied from DAMWON.
I love that the observers showed that, because at the start he was freezing the wave, and I'm sure in the same time with his comms he was saying, hey team, am I pushing this? Am I trying to freeze it? Freezing of waves, not really a thing you talk about too much in 2018 compared to the Flame solo carry days of 2014, but it is something situationally you can consider. Decide to stop pushing, especially as the Drake starts to spawn. That's when you want the pushing waves, but Nuclear picks up a side wave. He's currently level 10. Again, playing around in the practice tour, I believe he still doesn't have the upgrade on his Q, because if you do not go for Doran Blade, the 5 AD nerf onto the Storm Razor actually really plays around, hitting 100 AD in an awkward fashion. I believe it's level 12 for him, but could be mistaken on that one. Just did the math and did the practice based on the Storm Razor nerf. Well, regardless, we walk down and we'll see what Nuguri's looking for. His ultimate is back up.
We saw him in the lane. He doesn't have it upgraded just yet, so at least it's after level 10. So we're getting close to what you found here, Papa. And look at this. We got Ignorant Aries in a bush. They might be able to burst out Punch, but the Devour is there. Do they have the damage to come out of Nuclear? Ignar still going for it, but that AP Gragas, nice little dodge there by Ignar. We got Crazy coming from behind. The easiest beast of all time if he wants it. There it is. Just goes for the easy kill. And now they got Hoyt underneath this turret, but a nice little Olaf axe to try to get him to slow, but not enough to actually take him out.
Loving these sort of plays, because Victor, as you can see, is caught between lanes. It can't really do anything. It's returning to mid lane. Still 5 members strong of bbq. Looking for whatever they can get.
Actually locked him down, but the Devourer is right there. It was probably just off cooldown based on the new Tahm Kench. He is level 8, so maybe around, 18 seconds, 16 seconds right now on that cooldown. Showmaker, meanwhile, is able to push this mid wave, and he does have Tahm Kench to help out alongside Nuguri.
It's a nice move coming through from DAMWON, trying to use the Abyssal Voyage to get a turret answer to keep getting gold injected into the DAMWON team. Whenever I look at a scaling lineup like this, and we'll hold the point for now, we're going to watch the replay. Punch has no information at all, and he says, is this brush okay? That one was fine, but the second one was the... Actually, it ended up being the third one. 2 barrels later, he gets the bad news. He doesn't go down. Nuclear doesn't have heal, so any more damage onto Punch and he would die. The turnaround comes here. Ignar, excellent. And moving away from this, but a super deep teleport, especially for how early into the game we're in. Gets Crazy the kill. Nicely done from him. No more advantages other than the outer bot lane turret. But these are sort of moves that bbq are incentivized to do. It doesn't end up being a big clean answer for DAMWON. They don't even get that mid lane outer turret during the replay.
I mean, Punch got a little bit unlucky about the brushes that he checked, but at the end of the day, you got to be careful, right? You can't just go along into the river and say, I hope they're not here. Just check a couple of them with their barrel. Even if you see them with the barrel, are you going to be able to react fast enough to Rakan and Xayah engage? Probably not. Speaking of which, Ignar is on a camping trip by himself.
Quintessential Ignar right here. He always loves players like this. They don't know where he is. How much patience will he show? He doesn't know for sure that there's no ward in the first brush here. As Punch and Hoy are like, wait, where is he?
You know, this is going to turn into a really nice play if he gets behind these two guys. They both don't have their flash. Nuclear does. Interesting play in the mid lane at the same time. We are
so far zoomed out.
I know.
The macro view.
They kind of going to knock up here the fishing trip. That actually goes on a Xayah. Here's Ignar from behind. Looks like this time they might be able to get that Tom Kench. Yeah, the double stun comes at attempt. And that's Cask out of the side of Gragas, not enough to play on the backside, so just one kill to bbq.
Sort of play that only Ignar would try, saw the best of that for Misfits at Worlds last year against SKT. In this case, you kind of wanted to pause the game if you're DAMWON and be like, hey, are you sure he got there legally? We tried. We tried to put wards on every flank, but still he found a way. Didn't blow open the game with it, but that's just the mindset of Ignar. Always dot your I's and cross your T's when you're facing Ignar on the Rift. They back away. See what happens here, though, because again, DAMWON haven't had the game blown open, and again, we really like their scaling as we start getting towards 45, 50,000 gold in the game. Right now, still around 34,000, still feeling good about bbq.
bbq, they have Tempt 2-0 and 1. We're going to take a look at the replay. The Ornn ult was pretty much nothing, was in the mid lane, but Ignar only gets the Tom Kench. Kind of missed Nuclear, but it doesn't matter, got the kill on the backside.
So what does it all mean is an answer that we can only be hindsight about. Given that bbq haven't found a way to really kill the game, they're down in Drakes against a scaling comp, not ideal. And the Baron hasn't been visited for a while. Right now, no real vision around except for a control ward behind the pit from bbq. Temp's in a really good spot. He has Banshee Veil. He's ready to start his brush camps of his own. And we haven't seen Nuguri really find any value out of the Ornn. We were thinking of the GP, the Jace, the Camille. Between those three champions, he's 14-0. This time, he's playing around his bot laner, and that is definitely a different identity for DAMWON Gaming and not how they found their success earlier in the season.
Like how DAMWON are playing this, so much vision around the Baron right now for bbq. They're not just going to face check this time around. Punch, it looks like he learned his lesson. Went for that pretty common nowadays Runic Echoes into Knight's Vow. Just tanky Gragas, going to help out the Kai'Sa. Ignar's kind of doing it again, but he is spotted clearing that ward. Meanwhile, DAMWON Gaming would love to take the mid turret, but it doesn't look like bbq's going to let them.
Looking up anyway, it's going to be an 80 Kai'Sa build coming through from Nuke. There may even be 3 evolves if he wants to go Nashor's Uzi style as the 3rd item. Right now, DAMWON setting up Baron vision as cleanly as possible. Ignar, again, is on the fight, but for once, he is actually swept out.
Well, how about this? We have Punch to find him. The Cash, he's not in range. Finally gets there, but he has to flash to hop to one of his allies. So this time around, he's punished for his maneuvers.
I think he was too greedy on that particular fight. Could have grand entranced out much earlier. Instead, tried to split the difference and ended up having to flash. Doesn't feel good. Keeps the ultimate, so there's at least some threat coming in later. But that allows DAMWON to put down vision. Doesn't mean that bbq can take advantage of the one thing they've really accomplished in 25 minutes, which is making top lane for DAMWON a super long lane. The inner turret down much earlier. Now they can't return to that vision. Now DAMWON continue farming. The more gold they can get into themselves, the better.
Mentioned no vision around that top side, but bbq did a good job of pushing in both top and bot. The bot one was a little bit slower, so they had to split up and send members to go down there. It means that bbq can restate some of their vision around the Baron, and that's really what you want to do. They have some nice pick with the Rakan and the Syndra, if they can put it all together. A couple of squishy members on the side of DWG Gaming, but with all the damage that Tempt is going to have eventually, you can really burst someone out if they catch really anyone.
The biggest difference I see between the two teams is in the carries, a lot of respect from bbq and a lot of disrespect coming through from Showmaker. Because he fell behind, he says, oh crap, if I go Banshee second, I'm going to be super no damage, Victor. He goes Void Staff to have threat on the front line, but that means he doesn't have Banshee Veil and can't just move forward. If Rakan or Syndra are in Vision, compare that to double Hex Drinker from Trick and Ares, and a Banshee Veil already done from Tempt. That means that Showmaker is always going to be orb walking back and is very unlikely to ever get a meaningful ult down unless the enemy team somehow miraculously end up in melee range of DAMWON Gaming.
It also means that if the side of DWG Gaming get caught, either their carries, they're only going to rely on one Devour. And you got to be careful about that. So, had a bit of a lull here in this game. Not much going on as both sides have some really nice wave clear and just kind of pushing into the turrets so far.
Again, coming back to Champ Select, that's advantage DWG Gaming, because they're getting farm onto members, they're getting blue buff onto Showmaker. BBQ, one of their kind of consistent struggles in the LCK is when they didn't get blown out in the early game, they couldn't end games fast enough. They didn't have the macro to truly punish when they're ahead. Right now, hard to say they're significantly ahead, and they just seem to be looking for ARAMs in the mid lane, which don't necessarily seem like the way to actually push forward their lead.
We're going to set up around this Infernal Drake. You mentioned this long lane is pushing again. Tempt has been really good about going topside and pushing really fast and making someone from DWG Gaming go over there. Of course, Nuclear does have his teleport, but we'll see how this fight for the Infernal Drake goes. 2 Infernals and a scaling game for DWG would be so fantastic.
Some great TP wards for the side of BBQ. It's going to be a very early teleport. Good to see from Nuclear. Can't play around Vision when you have a Vision disadvantage, but Ignar is not spotted. They should expect that he's on some sort of a flank.
Oh, he's right behind the 2 carries. They're waiting for it, and now he's going to be spotted. He's going to have to go in the front door. It looks like this time DWG, they have some really good kiting. They're able to get out of it.
Such a fun game to toggle Vision on and off because of the types of play that Ignar is making. Here's the on ultimate, DWG trying to force on their own.
Yeah, looking for Tempt, who didn't have his Banshee Veil available. And it did force him to burn his flash, right? If you can knock him up there, maybe they can have that burst damage from the Kaiser Victor just plop straight onto Tempt and they kill him, but at least they get the summoner. Here's that Infernal Drake. Will DWG Gaming force a fight here? Ignar this time is on Vision.
On ult down, it's much trickier to do. Drake is claimed.
Seemingly pretty easy for BBQ. They had a lot of protection around that pit. Nice zap there from Showmaker to put Ignar in his place, and now they have some positioning here on the mid lane to block out BBQ and maybe get the turret.
It's been some good fool me once, fool me twice stuff from DAMWON, but you make one mistake doing this and you get flanked.
Oh, you get silenced, and that forces the Devour, but a really nice engage there from Ignar. Can they follow it up? Do they have the damage? Another great knockup from Crazy, and oh boy, there it is, Tempt and Olaf together do enough damage to just pop the Victor. You mentioned that disrespectful build, he just disappeared.
Would have been a bigger fight for BBQ, though. Unfortunately, when we saw the Xayah fishing in the front line, the rest of BBQ was zoned in the back line, and only with some aggressive and assertive use of their summoners, they even get the single kill. So 1 kill doesn't get them control over Baron. It buys them enough time to back off and hit this minion wave, but it still doesn't push their game agenda forward. Let's watch the replay here. Again, you know Ignar's bot side, they're playing around that well, but then some of your brain resources are used not being open for a flank. First knock-up hits onto Naguri. We know about that Devour cooldown. So from there, Ares in the front line, fishing for a stun. Unfortunately, Temp's in the back line already. Ignar's out of the fight. Now Ares is having his Hex Drinker popped. It's very awkward around the threats. They can't get 2 threats hitting a closest target because of what happens at the start of the fight, and that's why it's only a single kill to BBQ.
Damage very spread out, but the Cho'Gath's showing up and putting it straight into Victor's face. They get the slow, they get in range, and they're able to take him out. But as you mentioned, DWG Gaming, they're not too hurt about it. They would like to get that Infernal Drake. That was the biggest thing here. But still no Baron at about 30 minutes, and DWG Gaming, they're still holding on. 0-3, Victor won't matter if he's 6-3 at 40 minutes. And that's definitely kind of the direction we're going for in this one.
But if you told DAMWON they could spawn at 30 minutes with the same Drakes as their enemy and a 2,000 gold disadvantage, they'd say sure. Once the pick and ban was done, that is kind of the dream state for them. It's not the ideal, but it's certainly one of the better states for them. That doesn't mean that DWG Gaming are going to win this game, but a lot of their builds are now online in a way that might not have been possible if BBQ took advantage of their comp earlier. And we've seen BBQ get single picks, but no more. So we're waiting on BBQ to truly stick the landing on this comp, and a Baron would probably be the best way to truly get that.
if they can get someone into position, if they have the recon engaged, they can blow up that person really fast. They would love to take out even 1 or 2 members, and before it gets too late, get a Baron and begin to accelerate this game and actually, you know, push into some turrets. You know, maybe even go into the top lane where you've already taken out one of the outer turrets and just get an easy inhibitor and try to roll that lead into an actual victory. That's what they're looking for now, but the game is still kind of slow here. bbq aren't making any big moves to the Baron just yet.
bbq's best way forward is to now get the payoff from their 15-minute double turret topside, get the vision down, start Ignar on the roaming mission, and bait that Baron. But right now they don't have Baron control. They've instead been playing bot side. No reason for DAMWON to visit that quadrant. They know they're kind of forced to play top side into mid. The minion wave's not here, so they can't even play through the mid lane to take the turret. So the timing's just not working out on the side of bbq.
You can tell what they're trying to do on that play. Just zone them out, try to take the inner turret in the mid lane. That would make it much easier to go for this Baron. They had Ignar on the front lines as well, just a spot. He was going for his very nice flank once again. But Scuttle Crab taken here by DAMWON. And bbq still reluctant to go for this Baron just yet.
DAMWON are going to wait for the fight to come to them. They still have now damage cores onto Victor and the Kai'Sa, but no tankiness. It's a machine gun build coming through from Nuclear with the Hurricane. This is what we saw from Kai'Sa on release when you could fully abuse the Hypercharger passive there. Still very useful if the fight's in her range, but how do you not get exploded by Syndra is the conundrum. Doesn't have stopwatch, doesn't have any ability to outplay really there, even with the ultimate. So for that reason, they're still happy to maybe move towards a 4th item on the side of DAMWON. And again, it feels kind of frustrating even as a caster, keep returning to the same boiler point analysis, but we're really waiting for bbq to force DAMWON into a lose-lose, because for now, just farming is fine for DAMWON.
I'm still waiting for Showtime or Nuclear, even Noguri, to really pop off and show me what they're made of. And
Here's
maybe it looks like Showmaker's going to show us something, as it's 3-on-1. Does a lot of damage to Ignar here, but he's getting near that beast range. Hoyt getting into it, but nice stun. Immediate cleanse comes out of Hoyt. Nicely done on the backside. Knew when that stun was going to come out of the Syndra.
And on our monitors, if we look closely, I believe there was no flash up for Showmaker. It could actually be just a visual thing on my monitor, but I think it was actually just a scenario where he ended up using the minimum. Even if he had the flash, he wouldn't be able to use it. So he didn't have flash, didn't get punished, and now that's going to be the Featherstorm use. Here's the Ornal.
Oh, this is going to be easy to get that flash. It doesn't matter if he flashes, though, because Nuclear's right there. You talked about the machine gun. Almost takes out the Olaf on the backside. Has to flash away from that one. Is going to be knocked out. Does Tempt have the range and the damage? No, he does not. So you can see what happens now when Nuclear and Showmaker get unlocked.
And that is the DAMWON team fighting we've been waiting for. I love how the moment that they diagnose, wait, he doesn't have Featherstorm, on ultimate comes in at the exact moment. It may not be the usual comfort for DAMWON, but that's the class we're looking for. This game may have just flipped on that play. Valdez, second Infernal on the side of DAMWON. All 3 are now dead. DAMWON Gaming walking towards Baron to claim vision there as well.
Ares, 10 seconds left for him. Could they consider going for the Baron? Noguri isn't going directly there and doesn't have TP, so probably not, but you can see how this play played out.
Featherstorm comes in, but then on ultimate is free. At worst, you're going to get a flash. Nuclear does not hesitate. Knows exactly about that aggressive Kai'Sa play. Goes for the last auto in the end, isn't able to pick up the kill. No burning down there, maybe a Battle Dance shield was what actually allowed him to live, but they get the turret, they get the Infernal, they get everything to the side of DAMWON, and only the Kai'Sa losing her flash is a really relevant cooldown to talk about.
They're going for it again. Still no cooldowns on Ares, and we got that front line. Hoyt getting on in there. This time it's the Victor with the damage, but it was really just the setup from DAMWON Gaming again. Ares this time caught out in the mid lane.
And this game, you can just click your fingers and see how quickly it has changed. Suddenly DAMWON is making every play. Those Ornn ultimates that were zoning are now hitting, and they're going to take the first inhibitor of the game at 35 minutes, completely off script.
We didn't have much going for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, DAMWON Gaming are offered just that one moment to get the Kai'Sa in the back line, and now they're blowing it wide open. Haven't gotten onto the Baron, but look at the damage coming out of Kai'Sa now. Almost takes out Ignar. Devour's there to save his life and pings onto the Baron. We'll see if they start it up.
Cooldowns are still up on some of these key ultimates. Soon to be on ultimate, the Gragas ult up out of nowhere. This game has gone the way of DAMWON when their scaling was finally online. Seems like all the table settings seems to actually be building towards quite a delicious meal here for the side of DWG Gaming. They're going to have to respond to this minion wave. Orin doesn't have teleport. So is there going to be a moment for bbq to actually force the Baron?
They do have the Cho'Gath. They have a decent amount of damage with Syndra and the Xayah. The TP comes in, and they are going to start it up here. We got the two carries, Showmaker and Nuclear, trying to get in range. And they stop them from going for this Baron. Showmaker is going to get engaged upon once again, and the ultimate comes down. And the disrespect is shown again as he could not get in range and gets just straight up engaged by Ignar there. They take out the Victor, he gives his life, but at least they stop the Baron.
You want to be results oriented, you can say, well, his life is given up, but they stopped the Baron, but I still think that should be something that Showmaker needs to work on. He played like he had a Banshee Veil and a Tahm Kench, and he hadn't either, because the Tahm Kench was there trying to allow the vision clearing to happen. So at the end of the day, goes down. See if they can be returned to. Remember, Showmaker has to slowly walk all the way back. Even if they drop the Tahm Kench for an Abyssal Voyage, we're talking 30 seconds from now.
Gonna start it up here. Nobody no ults either, so they're just trying to get in range and spot what health this is at. Maybe Punch can get that steal. Still, the Victor is not in this fight. You can see they have a decent amount of damage to get this pretty low, and they do have that succeed with the Feast. Trying to get the damage in. They get the stun onto Noguri, trying to push them away. And they get it into Feast range, and they do. The Olaf actually takes it out here. Ares now on the front line, looking for Noguri. Should be able to take him out easily. Tempt picks up the kill on top of that Baron.
Good to see bbq stick the landing, get the Baron. Now you look over to Syndra. She's been the one picking up the kills, and Tempt popping off. Rank 10 challenger versus rank 6 challenger battle between Tempt and Showmaker. Turns out the solo queue only means so much when you make it to the highest level here. A lot of damage items complete for Showmaker. No Banshee Veil. Still going to be a problem compared to the Syndra. Going to watch the replay, and because of the Feast, it's really difficult to say what the correct decision is 4v5. Do you dive in and be surprised you didn't get the Baron? Do you try to fight 4v5? In the end, they try to do neither. They try to delay, but they still end up losing Noguri in the front line. They don't actually get any Baron. Delay. They back away now. Baron to the side of bbq, and they're going to want to make this a really big Baron buff power play. They need to at least get an answering inhibitor to the one DWG Gaming got earlier.
It's definitely their moment to push. 2.5 minutes of ultra-fed Syndra and a decently fed Xayah. Not as much as the Kai'Sa, but can do the damage if they get the engage. You can see that the Gragas on the top side was actually spotted, so they might look to collapse here, but Punch is just going to go ahead and back away. Where do you go from here as bbq? Which lane are you going to push? We're sending Trick down on the bottom side to start it off.
No TP advantage, so it's not going to be just easy to have your Cho'Gath wailing away in one lane. They're trying to push against the super minions in mid. Trick's just hanging back. He wants the minions to do the work and doesn't want to walk up as a melee champion. Still, to some degree, there's some pressure on bbq because after the minute 45 goes down, they actually have CS discrepancies in most lanes. They're about 100 CS behind their opponents, and we already talked about scaling a million times, so this is the moment here for bbq, and they should be able to delete one member. It's getting that pick that for now is actually frustrating them because no one is interested in getting flanked by Ignar or walking up to a Shadow of the Week coming through from Tempt.
You definitely still see a world in which DWG Gaming, they have the Ornn ultimate, they have the ability for the Gragas to engage and follow up if one member, even Ignar, but ideally the Syndra or the Xayah, if they can catch anyone in a bad spot, they still have many different ways to engage. And then the Kai'Sa, if they can get her into the back line, she's just going to burst anyone down here. The Elder is starting up, and DWG Gaming have taken a very aggressive position in this river to start it off.
Playing to these item timings as Nuclear is really hard, though. He has full damage build, nothing even impersonating the ability to live, and Syndra is 5-0. So you need to see Syndra's abilities on cooldown before you consider going in or join exactly as Noguri gets his ult in. Speaking of Noguri,
gets a knock up on the Ignar here. Nice little stealthy play inside their jungle, but he is going to be very respectful. They know that the Syndra's on the opposite side of that wall, and The Baron buff still remains, but it's only 20 seconds, and what really did bbq get out of it?
Nothing. Bagel on this particular Baron, apart from resetting the map a little bit. Olaf couldn't even take that bot lane target. Here's the engage.
Oh, they're looking for punch here. He's going to get extremely low, but he does survive. The follow-up 5-man knockup from Ornn is going to be enough to get them out of dodge. Nobody on the side of DAMWON will die, but more damage here done by the side of bbq.
Nuclear can't go in, Showmaker is outranged, thus the ultimate is just on cooldown for no benefit. Elder is started. I'm trying to take control of the bush. See what happens here. Could just end up being a 50-50. Elder's at 9,000.
No flash here on punch. He's just going to have to body slam engage, and it looks like bbq not yet ready to take that 50-50. Of course, they do have the Cho'Gath to help it out, but very, very passive on this one. bbq once again, they're going to be zoned out here on the right side. They're not going to back, though. Kai'Sa in the mid lane looking to push that out, and DWG Gaming actually doing a really nice job of delaying this out.
bbq have to do something because DWG are either going to have Ornn ultimate up or just take the inhibitor back again. bbq trying to disengage, and DWG are going to chase and try to delay.
Ooh, Noguri gets knocked up in mid-dash, and he has to flash again.
What happened there? That was weird.
Yeah, just awkwardly getting caught once again. Not the first time we've seen this here. The push is on in the mid lane. Nobody's really there to push it into the inhibitor, but I feel like that wave is big enough to get the job done.
They don't know where Ignar is. He's on his flank as always. Going to be spotted. Nice blue trinket, but let's watch that health. Remember the Cho'Gath secure.
Ornn is going to be spotted in the top side, but he immediately teleports in the cast to try to get the Cho'Gath out, but it's not enough. Will he get the stun down? No, the smite comes in from Trick. In goes the Kai'Sa in the backline, but Ignar is taking too much damage. Look at that AoE on the side of bbq. They're all extremely low from the Victor damage, and the chase is on right now.
The Minions are on both sides. What happens if this continues? Seeing a teleport.
In mid, they're going for it. DWG Gaming, they want to stop the back.
The minion wave's huge. Can they finish the game?
I think they can. They have nuclear to the backside. They're trying to back right now, but the rest of DWG Gaming is stopping them. Those turrets are extremely low. Showmaker, he gets the laser and the Zhonyas. It's going to be enough. Even though he dies, DWG Gaming take game number 1.
DWG Gaming in the clutch, but this was much closer than we were led to believe. bbq controlled so much of the game, but when it was there to be won, one shot call at the end will end it. We saw the picture-in-picture. It wasn't enough because the minions were breaking the inhibitor line of DAMWON as the minions were just straight up winning the game for DWG Gaming. They all smile and they all breathe a sigh of relief. DAMWON went against their usual win conditions and eked out a victory, but not one that you're going to want to talk about after the day is done.
At the end of the day, Showmaker does his job. He didn't have the best laning phase. He didn't have the best mid game. He actually got caught out a bunch, but he got that final laser. He stopped the back from coming in. bbq, definitely, I feel like, just too passive in a bunch of the plays. Like, going for Baron, they have position. They could have gone for it with the Feast. They delayed that. They tried to go for the Elder. It took them forever. The Baron buff, they didn't even get one turret off of that. So definitely some issues with their macro and when they decide to go for objectives.
But should we be surprised? Because it's the bbq that have won a handful of games in LCK Summer, have found themselves in this scenario, maybe a couple more than that handful. They unfortunately have had a lot of shot calling issues. They have not been on the same page multiple times. We've talked about bbq as having good players that could make a good team better, but as a 5, they haven't been able to really stick the landing. Showmaker flashes over to get these interrupts. We, of course, missed that in the picture-in-picture. Nice play from him. He knew his role. By the end, he was a zombie. May end up just buying time, but by this time, bbq knew they were going to lose the game.
He gave his life, quite literally. The sacrifice here for DWG Gaming. I love the flash over the wall play. Did his job in the end, even though it was not a clean first spot for him on the LCK stage. bbq gonna go to the back room and discuss exactly what went wrong in that series. Definitely a bunch of stuff to talk about.
So a little bit less wind in the sails for the DWG Gaming hype train, but it's only a single game, and even Griffin didn't look outstanding in their promotion tournament play. I think we're going to a break, though. Maybe DWG Gaming on the second chance will look a bit better.
We'll be back, guys, in about 10 minutes for game number 2.